For 2 minutes, be my wife, the millionaire begged. And the reason left her in shock. Nomi had served coffee to hundreds of people, but none had cried when asking for something so absurd. My son is dying, and he only wants to see his mom one last time. Noemi Castillo was cleaning the tables at the small Café La Estrella on Juarez Avenue when she noticed the man sitting alone in a corner. He hadn't touched the coffee she had served him 15 minutes before. He just stared at his cell phone with red eyes, as if he had just been crying. The man lifted his head. "Excuse me for bothering you," he said with a hoarse voice. "Could you sit here for a minute?" Noemi hesitated. He wore an expensive suit, but wrinkled. "Sir, I'm working. Please, I only need 2 minutes. I'll pay whatever is necessary." Noemi sat down. "What do you need, sir?" The man took a deep breath. "My name is Cesar Beltran, and I need you to pretend to be my wife, just for 2 minutes. My son is admitted to the civil hospital. He's 7 years old. He has terminal stage cancer. The doctors say he won't make it past this week." Noemi felt a knot in her chest. "I'm so sorry." He asked to see his mom one last time. But his mom died in childbirth. He never knew her, and I lied to him. I told him she traveled a lot for work. Now he's dying, and he only wants to see her. "Why me?" Noemi asked. Because he described his mom based on the few photos he saw. Long, dark hair, brown eyes, a kind smile. When you came to my table, I thought that maybe. You don't have to do anything more than enter the room, take his hand, and tell him you love him. Just that. 2 minutes. Noemi thought of all the reasons to say no, but when she looked at Cesar again, she saw pure desperation. "When?" she asked. "Now, please." Bet. Minutes later, they were in front of the civil hospital. "His name is Damian," Cesar said. "And yours," I told him. "Your name was Anna." They went up to the 4th floor. Cesar stopped in front of a door with the number 412. "Ready?" The door opened. In the bed, a boy who was too skinny, with a bald head and tubes connected to his arm, turned his face toward them and smiled. "Daddy? Did you bring her?" Noemi entered. "Hello, my love," she said. She walked to the bed and sat down. Damian stretched out his thin little hand. "You came," the boy murmured. "Daddy said you were traveling, but you came to see me." "Of course I came." Damian smiled. "You're pretty. Daddy has a photo of you. You're still pretty." Noemi felt the tears wanting to come out. "Thank you, little one." Damian coughed. "Daddy, can I talk to her alone?" Cesar hesitated, but nodded and left. Damian waited until he was sure they were alone. "You're not my mom, are you?" Noemi froze. "I know you're not. My mom died when I was born. Daddy doesn't know, but I heard him talking to my grandma." "Then why did you ask to see her?" Noemi asked. "Because I wanted my daddy to feel better. He worries so much about me, and I don't want him to be alone when I'm gone." Noemi couldn't contain her tears. "You're very smart. And you're good. When I'm not here anymore, can you take care of him, my daddy? He's going to be alone, and I don't want him to be sad forever. I'll do what I can. I promise you." Noemi stayed another 15 minutes. They talked about simple things. When it was time to leave, Damian asked, "Are you going to come back?" Noemi looked at Cesar. "Yes, I'm going to come back." "Do you promise me?" "I promise you." In the parking lot, Cesar spoke. "Thank you. You had no obligation." "He knows," Noemi said. "He knows his mom died. He heard you talking to someone, but he asked to see her anyway because he wanted you to feel better. He asked me to take care of you when he's gone." Cesar covered his face and began to sob. There, in the middle of the parking lot, he finally broke down. Noemi put her hand on his shoulder. "Are you really going to come back?" he asked. "I'm going to come back." Noemi returned to the hospital every afternoon after work. Damian was happy when she arrived. They talked about movies, food, the drawings he made. He never mentioned again that she wasn't his mom. One afternoon, Cesar called Noemi to the hallway. "My mom is coming tomorrow. She's complicated, and she's going to want to know everything about you. She can't know the truth. If she finds out I lied to Damian, it's going to be a scandal. Please, just a little bit more." "Okay," Noemi said, "but after this, you're going to have to deal with the consequences alone." The next day, Estela Beltran arrived at the hospital like a hurricane. She looked at Noemi with distrust. "So you're the famous Anna. Do you know my grandson is dying and you show up now?" "Grandma, my mom didn't abandon anyone," Damian said from the room. "She was working, and now she's here. That's what matters." Later, Estela pulled Cesar by the arm. "We need to talk alone." The dinner at Estela's house was uncomfortable. Estela asked direct questions. "I work at a cafe on Juarez Avenue," Noemi answered. "I made some calls," Estela said. "Nobody knows an Anna who had a son with you. Who are you, really?" Cesar stood up abruptly. "Enough. My son is dying, and the only thing you can think of is to interrogate the only person who's helping me give him a little peace." He took Noemi's hand. "Let's go." In the car, Cesar drove in silence. "Sorry for getting you into this. It wasn't your fault. I'm an idiot, a terrible father. I lied to my son." Noemi took a deep breath. "When I was 15 years old, my mom got sick. Cancer, like Damian. She asked me to promise to take care of my sister, and I promised. But when she died, I panicked. I left. I left Rebecca with my aunt for almost a year because I couldn't deal with the pain. So I understand what it is to make wrong decisions when you're desperate." "How did you manage to come back?" "My aunt called me and told me Rebecca had cried all night saying my name. I came back, apologized, and promised I would never leave again. And you're also going to fulfill yours for Damian." In the following days, Damian got worse. The doctors increased the morphine. She and Cesar talked more about life, about regrets, about dreams. She discovered that Cesar had adopted Damian after Luciana, his girlfriend from his youth, died in childbirth. "I loved her, and when she died, I swore I would take care of her son as if he were mine, because he is." "You're a good father," Noemi said. A nurse came in to check the vital signs. "Not much time now, maybe a matter of days." Noemi took his hand, and he didn't let go. And so, with their hands intertwined, Noemi realized she had fallen in love with Cesar Beltran, for how he loved his son, for how he carried his pain with dignity. It was a Thursday morning when Noemi's cell phone rang at 5 a.m. "Noemi, you better come now." When she arrived at room 412, Cesar was holding Damian in his arms. The boy was awake, but breathing with difficulty. "Hi, Noe," Damian said. "You got here fast." "Of course I did." She knelt beside the bed. "Noe, I want to tell you a secret. I knew from the beginning you weren't really my mom, but I pretended you were because I wanted Daddy to be happy and because you're good." Cesar sobbed. "Damian, Don't be sad, Daddy. You were always the best father in the world, and now you have Noe. Do you promise you'll let her stay?" Cesar looked at Noemi. "I promise you." Damian closed his eyes, satisfied. "Thank you for pretending. Thank you for being my mom. Even if just for a little while." Noemi kissed Damian's forehead. "It was an honor, my love." Damian smiled one last time, then his breathing became slower, softer, until it finally stopped. Cesar held his son for a long time. Noemi stayed by his side, crying in silence. The funeral was 3 days later. Noemi stayed in the back, but when Cesar saw her, he walked toward her and took her hand. "Stay with me." And she stayed through the entire ceremony. When night fell, Cesar and Noemi were alone in the garden. "He knew from the beginning, and still he pretended to protect me." "He loved you very much," Noemi responded, "and I failed him." "No, you gave him love, security, a happy life. You were exactly the father he needed." In the following weeks, they met from time to time. It was almost 2 months later that Cesar finally said, "I don't know how to thank you for what you did. I don't want you to disappear from my life. Damian asked me to let you stay, and I want that, because you make me want to live again." "I want that too," Noemi said. And for the first time in months, Cesar smiled. Months later, on a quiet afternoon at Café La Estrella, Cesar proposed marriage to her. "Do you want to build a life with me?" And she answered, "Yes, I do." And every anniversary of Damian, Cesar and Noemi visited his grave with fresh flowers. They told him about the life they were building, about how they missed him every day, because Damian was never forgotten. He remained alive in every decision they made, in every moment of love they shared. And that's how a lie told out of desperation became a truth built from love. Sometimes the hardest paths lead us exactly where we need to be. And love, when it's true, finds a way to be born, even in the most unlikely circumstances.